Welcome again to another On Your Own Reviews. So this month we have done John Wick Chapter 1. We have done The Replacements. We have done Constantine. And we actually kind of shot half a review for Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So that'll be coming. We have to do some edits on that because of timing wise and everything like that. But of course, since we've done those movies, what are we gonna do today? Today we're doing a snuff film. No, not at all. Obviously, from the trend from the movies I just listed, you can tell we're gonna do another Keanu Reeves movie. This is actually Keanu Reeves, I believe's first action movie, and this is none other than the 1991 action cop movie Point Break. Point Break is a story about a gang of people who have been robbing banks for 3 years, and they do it more or less during one time of the year, during the summertime. And this special cop robbery detective group who have been trying to solve this mystery for 3 years. And basically what the criminals do is they come in every time dressed up in suits wearing presidential masks. They have Lincoln, Nixon, Ford, and Ronald Reagan. And they go in there, they rob banks, but what they always do, they always have a pattern in that they don't go into the safe. They just steal what money the tellers have. They don't really kill anyone. They just, push people around and things like that. And they usually are out of there within 90 seconds. So now we have our main character of the movie, Johnny Utah, who just got out of FBI Academy and is sent to Los Angeles to join this task force to try to finally solve them after they've been doing this for 3 years. So what happens is the co-star of the movie, the co-star of the movie, Palpatine, has a theory that these crimes are happening because of surfers. He's had this theory for 3 years, so much so that other FBI agents come in and make fun of him of it, but somehow no one has actually followed through on his theory. So what happens is he gives this information to Johnny Utah, who's a 25-year-old cop fresh out of the academy, and he wants to take it on. So him and Papalis go forward, and they figure out who these criminals are, and they figured out on his theory is correct, that these crimes are being committed by surfers. So that's the basic story of the movie. This is actually a pretty good cast for a 1991 film. Main stars, obviously, Keanu Reeves as Johnny Utah. We have Gary Busey as... I keep getting his name wrong. Oh, Angelo Pappas. His name is Angelo Pappas. We have Patrick Swayze as the lead bad guy named Bodhi. And then we also have Laura Petty as Tyler, who is the love interest in the movie, and one of the ways that we get Utah's character to Bodhi's character. And also, in a side note on this, we have Greg McGinley as the head of this task force. And then also in this movie, Anthony Michael Kiedis. That's right, the lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers in this, and he plays a role that is definitely typecast for him. So I think all the actors are really good in this movie. Gary Busey, you can watch this movie now and say Gary Busey's not acting. He's like kind of living his life, because he is this kind of nut job of a cop, but you kind of understand what he's doing, but at the same time he's crazy all at the same time. Keanu Reeves' character in Johnny Utah, that name is eye-rolling every time you hear it, plays the character of a former... he plays a former high school quarterback, replacements any, foreshadowing, who has torn his leg, decided to go to law school to become an FBI agent. And he does it. He acts his role actually pretty well. He kind of has a straightforward face. You kind of feel sorry for him when things go wrong. And there's a lot of things where he just does Keanu things. Then we have the main villain of the movie, Patrick Swayze, who actually does a pretty good job. He says a lot of stuff that makes no sense, but this is a 1991 movie, so you believe that people were just sitting there going, oh my god, that is groundbreaking. But in a lot of ways, he's not only transparent, but he's definitely superficial. And a lot of his motivation really doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense. Or at least, once again, this is a period piece. I'm watching this movie 16 years later. This would have been a lot more probably dramatic, and a lot of his speeches, especially when he goes into the whole thing, he does a lot of speeches where he talks about how surfing is great, things like that, and he goes into this whole thing on when he actually has a line in this movie, when you surf. Oh, what the hell is the line? He goes, it's something about surfing, and he's like, you know, you bring into it and you don't come out the same, or something like that. It's very, very superficial line, and you would expect that to hear that from someone at a at a coffee table reading or a poetry slam. It's something that makes no sense at all. So he does a lot of speeches like that, but he really does sell it in this movie. Like, you really believe his character is believing a lot of the BS he's saying. So I will give him a lot of credit on that. Lori Petty's character as Tyler, she's kind of just a love interest, and she's an entryway. So, but at the end, she becomes also a Mary Jane. So she juggles a lot of different roles in this movie. None of them terrible. She does a fine job in it. This is obviously pre-Tank Girl, so her career hasn't been ruined yet. Greg McGinley's character just exists there to be that 90s stereotypical boss of or chief of police who just is there to run down his unit. That's about it. I will have to say, this movie is shot very well. Once again, this is a 1991 movie. There's a lot of action scenes that are awesome, and I never once felt like I couldn't tell what was going on or who was in it. Yeah, they did a lot of cheats, having the gang wear presidential masks, so obviously you can tell, or obviously they can put stuntmen in there and you wouldn't be able to tell a thing. But the action scenes are pretty good. There's this one particular scene, the best scene in the movie, the chase scene, where Keanu Reeves' character is chasing down Patrick Swayze's character, and it's a really long run scene. They're running through houses, they're going over fences, things like that, and it ends. The whole thing is shot really well. It's not edited, so you couldn't tell what was going on. It was just a really clean chase scene. A lot of the action scenes are really good. The surfing scenes are really good. I know nothing about surfing, living in New York, so, but it looked good. I never felt like it was a fake person out there, which obviously you can tell that, or obviously there were stunt people out there, but you didn't get the sense that it looked fake. It always looked authentic. It never looked like it was green screen, so that's a plus for a movie of this time. The skydiving scenes are actually pretty well shot, and they actually feel intense. Like, you can feel the emotion when Johnny Utah's character jumps out of the plane for the first time, and he's going down and he's just like in ecstasy, looking at Bodhi's friends and everyone like having fun, and he's just like, I've never seen this before, and they're doing stunts and he's just in awe, and his hair is blowing up, everyone's hair is going all over the place. They're doing stunts and he's just sitting there in amazement. Like, I'm pretty sure much of the audience felt the same way when this came out originally. So I have to give a lot of props for the shooting of this. This was directed by none other than Catherine Bigelow. Catherine Bigelow would go on to direct a little known movie called Zero Dark 30. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it might have won awards. I'm not a fan of that movie, but so obviously the director has moved on from there. There is a lot of dialogue here that can go, what? But once again, it is a sign of the times. My favorite line in the movie is Gary Busey's character at the beginning when he's looking up into the skyline of Los Angeles, and he says, this is the line. He goes, I've been here for 22 years, and in that time, the air has gotten dirty and the sex has gotten clean. That's topical of LA. I just love that line. This movie has logical problems though. Has big time logical problems. A lot of the cop work makes no sense. The whole thing on how it gets to the ending, and even the last scene where Bodhi is finally standing in the middle of on a beach in Australia, and he's looking out into the storm, and he finally sees the wave that he's been searching for all this time, and then Johnny Utah character comes out and goes, oh, they have a fight scene. He tries to arrest him, but then the scene beforehand where they're skydiving in Mexico, and I won't spoil it for why they're there, really doesn't make any sense, and even that scene doesn't make any sense. Where Johnny Utah, how were you a cop again? You were arrested. And then some time passes, he finds Bodhi, he arrests him again, and then he just walks away. The ending doesn't really make a lot of sense. There's a lot of cop logic that doesn't make any sense in this movie. But the action parts are fun, the characters are a lot of fun. They go through just enough backstory so you know where the characters are coming from, but they don't overdo it by doing montages, flashbacks, things like that. So you kind of feel like, okay, I know enough about this character to where I can see where he's gonna go and what he's gonna do and what's next, but without being too predictable. This is actually a pretty damn good early 90s movie. It hits a lot of the cliches of early 90s movies, but it does it in a good way, and it had to do pretty well because we got a remake 2 years ago that wasn't nearly as fun as this movie. So my final verdict for this movie, I give Point Break a 7.5. It's a lot of fun. It has some interesting characters. You'll get some good dialogue out of it, odd dialogue at times, but you'll never feel bored, or you'll never. I mean, if you can if you can get past the logical issues, there's nothing wrong with this movie. This is a really fun movie. I'm glad I saw it. I don't know what movie I'm doing up next, but since we're still in June, you can bet we'll have a certain star in that movie. Guess if you will. That's all for today. Until next time, see you at the movies.